Hi, friends, and welcome into the show today. It is Monday, April the 19th, and you are here for another episode of Cold Rain's Weather World, where we've got all the weather. It's the only internet weather show that leaves you feeling good, more confident, and smarter than when you came in. And we are the fastest growing new weather show on the internet, by the way, up to 310 subscribers now, actually 314, I think it is. So if you get a chance, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you like the content. The little thumbs up button is right down below and easy to hit that. And if you like it, and leave us a comment if there's something I can pray over for you. I want to do that. So please leave a prayer request or comment about the show, suggestion, something like that. But anyway, I hope you had a nice Easter weekend visiting friends, family, going to church, whatever you did. We went to church yesterday. It was a beautiful service and had a great day. And so anyway, we've got our typical pilot knob coffee cup here that says probably bonk tilop in your view, but it's our Monday morning coffee. It is good, and we are going to get into your work week forecast. But as I promised, we're going to leave you a little bit smarter than when you came in, and we do that. One way we do that anyway is by checking out our daily Weather IQ question. And today's Weather IQ question is about tropical cyclones. Okay, so here is the question, and see if you know the answer. What is the minimum wind speed for a tropical cyclone to be classified as a hurricane? 58 miles per hour, 39 miles per hour, $1 million, or 74 miles per hour? I bet you can eliminate one of those answers right off the bat. But if you know the answer, type it in the comment section. If you don't know it, just hang on till the end of the show and we'll get to it. I'm going to spend some time over the next couple of days playing around with how I record these videos so that when you see words or letters or something like that, pilot knob, mugs, for instance, it looks normal in your view instead of backwards. I've got to fiddle around with the video recording settings, and I'll do that. But anyway, I'm going to get started here with today's weather and take a look at what you can expect out there through the course of the day. And then we'll look at the course of the upcoming week. We've got a bit of a pattern change that's underway, and that will quiet our weather pattern down. But eventually that will pick back up in terms of activity and severe weather as we move through the period. We'll take a look at all of that and then wrap up with the answer to today's trivia question. As usual, I'll put the show segments in the comments section of the video, in the description of the video. Anyway, this segment of the show, the daily weather forecast part of the show, is brought to you by Almost There Shipping. Whether you're shipping or receiving, Almost There Shipping Company will almost make sure your packages almost arrive in one piece. So whatever your shipping needs are, give Almost There Shipping Company a try, and you'll almost be glad you did. Thank you, Almost There Shipping. Appreciate the sponsorship. Now we're going to get right into the satellite picture. And as you can see, this big storm system that kicked out of the desert Southwest a couple of days ago is swirling up here into the Great Lakes around Lake Superior. A cold front extends from that low pressure right here all the way back down through Ohio into Louisiana and Texas. And along that frontal zone, we're seeing clouds, we're seeing showers, and we're seeing some thunderstorms. And we saw reports of severe weather yesterday, wind and hail and tornadoes as we expected. And so the National Weather Service will continue to assess that damage over the coming days, and we'll have more announcements to be made out of it. But you can see on our water vapor imagery here, this big dry air plume, this dry slot coming in behind the front, a lot of moisture out ahead of the front. So much of the southeastern portion and eastern portions of the country are socked in with cloud cover. We've got some high clouds streaming in out west as well, and some clouds associated with some light precipitation over Montana and Wyoming there. Looking at the severe weather threat today, we're not seeing a great deal of severe weather out there today, just a marginal risk from places like Buffalo down here into Cleveland, and getting into West Virginia, and then also down from Chattanooga, say, to north of Birmingham into Jackson and Baton Rouge. We could see a couple of spots of wind damage down here, a little isolated severe report. We're not looking at a widespread severe weather outbreak today, and some hail up here in the northern zones, and just some general thunderstorm activity out here in the upper Great Plains. Wind shear is not so impressive today. It is a little bit cooler up in the upper levels of the atmosphere around the Great Lakes area. That's why we could see some hail down here. And then if we can get enough destabilization this afternoon with heating of the day, we're going to have cloud cover around, so that may be somewhat challenging and mitigate that heating to some degree. Instability could spark some showers and eventually a couple of reports of wind down here in the southern area of the marginal risk. Looking at our hazards map today, not seeing a lot out there, just some red flag warnings for windy conditions up here in Nebraska and Kansas. So hang on to your hats out there. Don't burn anything out there. Very dry weather moved in behind the front. And so we're going to see dry, warm, and windy conditions out here. Some fog burning off out here in Oklahoma. And some flood warnings remain in effect in Missouri, where we saw multiple inches of rain. Saw a lot of rain that'll drain into the rivers. We'll continue to see these rivers run high over the next few days. And that's pretty much it. Very quiet out there today, which is nice for a change. Looking at the radar, we put this into motion. You can see that line of showers and thunderstorms, some mixed precipitation, actually a few reports of snow I've seen up here in Wisconsin up into Michigan, the UP of Michigan here. Some of these areas have changed over to snow. Not going to see a lot of snow, just some nice snowfall. As the rain changes over to snow in some of these areas, you'll see it fall for a little bit. The bulk of the rain's moving north of the border, and then we've got that trailing cold front with showers and thunderstorms and lightning associated with some of these all the way back, from Columbus to Louisville to Nashville, down west of Jackson, down to Houston, and of course in Montana and Wyoming, where we saw earlier some of that cloud cover I was showing you. It's producing some rain and some snow in the higher elevations. So that's what's going on out there right now. The surface map is not all that convoluted. We've got that low pressure that I talked about. Cold front extends back from that all the way down into near Houston, and a little warm front extends off around from Ohio up here to northeast North Carolina. And just general thunderstorm activity today around the eastern sections of the country along that cold front as it continues to slide to the east. And up here in the northern plains, expect to see some general thunderstorm activity as well. Some snow in the higher elevations, a little mixed precipitation up here, some rain mixing with snow at times up in Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, and the UP of Michigan. So expect that as you go along today. And let's see here. I wanted to show our temperature map for today as well. So here's high temperatures. Of course, chillier up along the northern tier, really cool up around the northern parts of the Great Lakes, where you're seeing a few flakes of snow falling, chilly in the upper elevations of the Rocky Mountains and the Bitterroots and the Bighorns and all of those areas, Cascades and the Olympics and all of that. And then, of course, to the south is where we find 80s and 90s. Going to be a very, very warm day across the southern half of the country overnight tonight. So still running 10 to 15 degrees above normal in spots. Tonight, colder out west. Of course, in the upper elevations, you're going to be below freezing. Everywhere else is going to be in the 30s and the 40s, 20s to 30s up here in the Great Lakes, 30s up in northern New England, and then 40s and 50s across much of the essentially southern half of the central portion to the east coast of the country, and then 60s down into the southeast. So it's going to be very mild and muggy down here in the southeast. That is your daily weather forecast. You know what to expect now as you go throughout your day. And we're going to get into the upcoming week in terms of looking at a little bit of a severe weather threat tomorrow. It quiets down a little bit, but we'll see that activity kind of pick up as we head toward the end of the week. Now, your week ahead forecast is going to feature a little bit of severe weather tomorrow, and that will back off as we get into to Wednesday and then into Thursday. And then as we approach the weekend and maybe get on into next week, we'll see activity kind of ramp up as we start to look at the severe weather threat. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the weather for the upcoming week and see what is in store for your area and for the rest of the country. And the week ahead forecast is sponsored by Offline Mobility. So if you're tired of people talking your ear off, then Offline Mobility has the answer for you. For a cost that you simply can't afford to pass up or just afford in general, our spotty network drops more calls than any other carrier on the market. So for fast, convenient connections on the go, try someone else. For all other mobile needs, check out Offline Mobility, where prices are high and connections are low. Thank you again for the sponsorship there. And so we'll get right on into it. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got that system that we saw up here at the Great Lakes. That low pressure's moved into Canada, draping a cold front all the way back from northern Texas near Dallas, Fort Worth, up in across the upper southeast. And this cold front is going to play a role in the southeastern weather over the next couple of days. It's going to settle in, flow is going to become parallel along, and it's not going to move all that much. So when we're talking about this cold front, we're going to see this sort of meander down in this area, something like this, and it's going to hang out. And so that's going to serve as a boundary and a focus for afternoon showers and thunderstorms in the southeast. So much of the week for the southeast, we're going to see above normal chances of precipitation. It's going to be showers, thunderstorms. We're not looking at a lot of severe weather here. We're looking at just general shower and thunderstorm activity. So large portion of the week, we're going to see clouds and chances for rain showers that will eventually sweep east through the weekend, and we'll see a return to maybe normal conditions temperature-wise. Until then, we're going to be above normal. Severe weather is possible tomorrow from Texas. We're looking at Midland up to Abilene, just right in that area, up to Amarillo, and getting into just, I guess, west of Oklahoma City into Kansas up here. And so that's where the severe weather threat is going to be focused tomorrow. This Storm Prediction Center actually shows that, and we'll take a look at that a little bit more as we get into it. The next day, Wednesday, we're looking at just general thunderstorm activity. So not really all that much in the way of severe weather, some potentially snow in the higher elevations out here in the Rockies, and then just some showers across the northern high plains. But this is a typical sort of springtime weather map, not anything unusual here. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center, so we've got that severe risk for tomorrow, very small chance of tornadoes. It's really the wind and hail risks that are the main threat. A little bit of upper or mid-level energy sweeping through. Temperatures are a little chilly as you go up into the atmosphere. Some shear will kind of pick up. Not, again, looking at a strong event or anything like that. Just a level 2 risk of some wind and potentially hail out here in Texas up through Oklahoma and Kansas. So pay attention tomorrow as you go through the day. And then looking ahead into Wednesday, just a marginal risk in much of those same areas. It extends a little bit to the north. So general troughing that's going to set up out here, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And that's going to allow for some of these little mid-level perturbations to come in and act on the heating of the day and some moisture return. And that's going to spark some showers and storms. So nothing to be too frightened about. Just pay attention as you go through the day. You may see a severe report or two. Looking at the jet stream pattern over the coming week, starting out tomorrow afternoon, kind of got a zonal flow here. You see what's kind of going on here. We've got a northern branch of the jet stream kind of moving in like this. The southern branch is way down here. It's not really doing all that much, but kind of watch this as we go through, as I put this forward in the next couple of days. So this is tomorrow afternoon, and look what happens as we get on into Wednesday. You start to see a little bit of troughing coming back in here to the west. See how these lines kind of bend down like that? That's a trough. And when we start to see that trough develop, we get flow out of the southwest. When we start to get flow out of the southwest, we have moisture transport. So moisture starts to build out ahead of these troughs. Cooler air comes in from the north. And so now you have a cool air mass and a warm air mass. They're kind of clashing along a boundary. And that's where you tend to see elevated chances for showers and thunderstorms, potentially severe weather too. So looking at Thursday into Friday morning, that trough kind of becomes more defined. You get this generally southwest to northeast flow, keeping moisture along in here and also keeping it warmer. So see how that kind of plays out. And look what happens over time. We get into Saturday afternoon, and then we put this on into Sunday, and that trough begins to really deepen up out here. You can see that really nicely. Get a little bit of a northern stream trough up here in the northeast. We're not going to expect to see severe weather out of this, but it could bring a cool shot back into the northeast. And so this trough is going to be the big weather makers we get on into later in the weekend, early next week. That's going to eventually slide east, ridging out ahead of that. I would expect as we get into early next week to start to see more talk of severe weather out into the central plains again, the lower and mid-Mississippi valleys and that kind of thing. So that's your general jet stream pattern as we get on out in time. And then beyond that, things kind of get a little murky. That trough will eventually slide east, and so we'll have an up and down temperature pattern as that does so. Looking at the precipitable water, I show this sometimes because this is a good indication of where you might find rain chances elevated and cloud cover. Where these bright colors are, this is um, rich moisture coming up through a deep layer, layer of the atmosphere. And so you can see that playing out this morning along that cold front. This is where the showers and thunderstorms are forming here. And so we put this on out into motion. Look what happens. That cold front doesn't really make all that much progress eastward. It sinks south up here in the northern portion of it as this low pressure moves up. Winds behind it dry out, push that cold front south. But look where it lines up. Right here, just into the southeast, right through Houston up into Norfolk. Now let's see what happens as we go through the week here. Watch this. This is Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday overnight, Thursday afternoon. We're getting into Thursday afternoon here, and it just sort of becomes diffuse. There's a high pressure zone that's going to quickly move off. So Thursday, we could actually see some wedging trying to get in here to North Carolina, cooling the temperatures down a little bit up and down the East Coast. But that'll move off and we'll get a return flow. And look what happens. We get a big warm sector, a lot of moisture. So where you see all these areas, the bottom line is elevated chances for rain through the week from basically southern Virginia all through the southeast into these areas here. I would pay attention for elevated chances of rain, more clouds than sun probably on a lot of these days. And we'll really start to see the maximum chances in the Carolinas, particularly Tuesday into Wednesday, it looks like, and then maybe again Friday into Saturday as a cold front from the west pushes east. That's still to be determined, but pay attention as we go through the week and check your local forecasts, and the National Weather Service offices will tell you exactly what to expect and when as you get on in here. But generally unsettled weather through the week. Looking at the temperature, this is European Ensemble kind of temperature anomaly map. At 850, it gives you an idea of where you're going to be warmer than normal or cooler than normal. And putting this on into motion, this is tomorrow afternoon. We're looking at highs warmer than normal across much of the southern tier, cooler than normal across the plains and up into the Great Lakes and into the northeast. So we may see temperatures back off for a day or two up in the northeast, still warm along the south, and cooler in the Great Plains area. And we can see as we get toward the end of the period, this trough starting to build out here that I showed you before. So it's going to be a little cooler than normal and generally warmer than normal along the East Coast as we get into the weekend. Okay, so that's how things are going to play out. Make it a little push behind a system that moves through in the northeast as we get late into the weekend. So that's your temperature profile. At the surface, we're looking at big storm this afternoon up in the Great Lakes, pushing cold front through. And you can see as I put this on into motion, Wednesday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, seeing thunderstorms kind of fire up along that front. And just general shower and thunderstorm activity across the southeast through much of the work week. Eventually Saturday, that'll all push through as we get a cold front, a new system up here in New England, as I said, and cool. You saw the cold air coming in behind that before. And then just sort of a general return to systems working in, amplifying in the plains. That trough moves in and you'll get some return flow out ahead of it, and we'll see showers and thunderstorms develop over much of the country. So that's what's going on, or the central and eastern sections of the country. So that's what's going on. Temperature forecast for, wrapping everything up, putting a bow on it, above normal for the 6 to 10 day period over much of the east. Again, that trough will keep things cooler in the desert southwest, and above normal precipitation over the central part of the country. I think probably we'll see this green area extend to the southeast over the course of the next day or so as all this information is kind of coming together. They're going to process this and assimilate this. I would not be surprised to see these green areas extend further into the southeast. And that sort of wraps up the sensible weather for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Volcanic activity, again, same 4 areas we've been watching, nothing new there. Earthquake activity, there's been, some minor quakes, nothing major. Here's one, some people felt a 4.2 in Japan. There was like a 4.3 up in Alaska, didn't do any damage. We've got a coronal hole facing us now, and so solar wind's going to pick up into that end geomagnetic storm. We're looking at geomagnetic storm, a G2 on a scale of 1 to 5. Approaching Earth the next couple of days. So if you're looking for auroras, you may start to see this line creep a little bit to the south. And so up here across the northern tier, you might see the northern lights. You guys will have the best chance, as cloud cover may be less prevalent up there. And so, folks, that is it for today. It's been a sort of a quick, rushed little forecast, but not a lot going on, so we don't need to do a deep dive into really anything. Hopefully that gives you a general idea of what's happening out there. And just wrapping everything up with the answer to today's trivia question, see if you got it right. What is the minimum wind speed for a tropical cyclone to be classified as a hurricane? 58, 39, $1 million, or 74 miles per hour? And the answer, of course, is 74 miles per hour. 58 is the threshold for severe weather, and 39 is the threshold for a tropical storm. But 74 is the threshold between a tropical storm and a Category 1 hurricane. And now you know about hurricanes. Now you know the weather. And of course, as always, this is Cold Rain reminding you, if other stations run 24/7, we got you covered 48/14 right here at Cold Rain's Weather World. So take care, folks. I hope you have a wonderful work week, and we'll see you back tomorrow with another video.